Welcome to the news. The news today is amazing. Amazing news. We are going to look at day 2 of the Norway court. This is where jw.org, Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway, are suing the country. It's in court. So we're on to day 2. We found some more information on the what's going on in court. And day 2 will blow your mind. Now, one of the things I want to point out is, I want to ask you this question as the audience. Can you tell a personality from a face? Well, in addition to emotional expressions and other nonverbal behaviors conveying information about one's psychological processes through the face, researchers have found that valid inferences. What does that mean, inferences? I looked it up. It means a conclusion reached on the basis of evidence and reasoning. So it's almost like our subconscious is looking at people's faces and making decisions as to what type of a person they are. Now, valid inferences about the personality characteristics can even be made based on the static images of the face with neutral expressions. So we're going to look at the jw.org lawyer, and we're going to look at the Norway lawyer's faces. We're going to do that right now. Okay, so here's summary of day 1 trial. This is the Jehovah's Witness lawyer, Anders Risdell, Jehovah's Witness lawyer. And we're going to go all the way down to day 2 here. And there's Norway's lawyer, Kristin Arvik, government lawyer. She's fighting for the country. So take a look at her face. And take a look at his face. Remember, these are static images of faces. You can kind of tell a lot. So we're going to get right into this. Now, the first thing I'd like to do is send out a big thank you to Avoid JW for posting this on their website. And it's called The Price We Pay. I'll put a link in my description below so you can take a look at it. It's very well done. And they did a summary of day 1 and day 2. And we covered day 1 already from the newspaper perspective. But I like how Avoid JW does it because they cover it from an ex-JW perspective with our language. And, we don't run into words like eclectic. Anyways, let's carry on. Summary of day 1. Well, we're just going to breeze over this. And what I like about how Void did it, it's pretty well the same as the newspaper, but they highlighted where Jan, and Jan is the ex-JW, where he was talking. And I'm going to read that. But basically, the JW lawyer got in and, we do everything, blah, blah, blah. We've been doing this for so many hundreds of years, and we do things right, and human rights violations and all of these. So Jan gets in there and he says, well, there's a fact of exclusion practice that does not have a lower age limit, that violates children's rights. And this is what this is all about, is the exclusion of children getting baptized too young. Well, JW.org is saying, they don't get baptized until they're of age, 15, 16 kind of a thing. And so Jan went right back at him. And we're going to see in day 2, which I'm going to cover in detail. So here we go. I'll put a link to this. They really did a good job. This is the JW lawyers I found. Watchtower's lawyers right there, that photo. And we come down here, and here's a picture of Jan. Jan Frode Nilsen, if I said that right. Thanks a lot, Jan, for all of your hard work in exposing jw.org. We're with you, buddy. So views on the former Jehovah's Witnesses he gets in with. So now we're going to cover day 2 of the trial. This is the fun part. January 8th, Jehovah's Witnesses, defense, the state's legal assistant, lawyer Christian Arvik, if I said that right. Okay, so this is day 2 of the trial. Ironically, in a congregation or religious activity such as giving talks, even handling microphones, in this organization, a woman is not allowed to conduct without her head covered. What a way to start out this program. We can see where that's going. Okay, women. Yeah, they can't do anything. So the defense team of Norway is of women. The whole defense team of Norway is of women. Let's go back, take a look at that lady. We already looked at the JW lawyer. Kind of looks like the governing body of today, that JW lawyer, Risdale. So anyways, the defense team is of women, and they opened the floodgates on a multitude of matters that needed to be addressed. It stated in an article in Vartland, that's that newspaper, that Arvik outlined in the organization's hierarchical structure, with very little room for local interpretation, supporting the state's evidence strategy, which includes using JW handbooks, magazines, and core texts. And it's been evident that through Risdale, the Watchtower's lawyer, had asked the judge for their publications not to be included in the trial. This was not approved. So they didn't approve that. This was not approved. But they asked for their publications to not be in the trial. Wow. I guess they got away with that in Canada. Works one place, might work the next place. Okay, well, some of the court's roles and expectations to be overviewed. The legal starting point emphasizes no public registration is needed for a religious community. The organization's practice remains consistent. Recent legal developments prompt scrutiny. The European Court of Human Rights plays a role in interpreting conventions, focusing on how Watchtower organization treats those who resign, are shunned, disfellowshipped, or disassociated based on long-standing practices, analyzing JW's responses to questions, letters, and inquiries, their stance on exclusions, baptism, and maintaining family ties, exploring JW's in Norway, their membership, history, women's roles, and financial details, an overview of their response to the media coverage and interaction with the legal system, breaking down the procedures for exclusion, the role of judicial committees, and the consequences for those expelled from the community. Shunning, the first part. So there's a little video here. We're going to play it. They played this on the shunning.
They loved me and wanted me to come back to Jehovah. I tried to contact them. I just wanted to talk and to hear their voice. I missed being with my family. And they thought about reaching out to me. But they knew that if they had associated with me, even a little, just to check on me, that small dose of association might have satisfied me. It could have made me think that there was no need to return to Jehovah.
Okay. So that would show the court that disfellowshipping is real. This is part of... No wonder they didn't want the publications or any other videos or stuff shown in court. This is what they teach their people. Shunning. Shunning's a part of life, being a Jehovah's Witness. We are all being shunned. Okay, so the main focus of today's trial circled the organization's practice of shunning, a controlled systematic practice that you could ask any Jehovah's Witness about and get similar replies. Enduring through this sort of spiritual manipulation can stifle and unleash, enduring through this sort of spiritual manipulation can stifle and unleash a multitude of problems in one's life, said the lawyer, Avik, the lady. Well, it's all lady lawyers. She said it did not let this important point waver. She contested the organization's practice, and then the definition of shunning, which is defined as evading, steering clear of, dashing, eschewing, or keeping away from. Humans need some sort of social connection to help with growth, stability, and well-being. If you are quickly cut off and shunned after having a particular lifestyle, such as a Jehovah's Witness, it majorly affects your life. Shunning is not an act of love. This is pure manipulation. The practice shown in the video above is supposed to depict how one disfellowshipped would come to their senses, as it was expressed in the trial. Now imagine this happening to a child. Watchtower argued yesterday that there's no violation of the right to leave the organization freely. But if organizations want their interpretations of the publications to be removed, how can you expect to understand the influence and impact it does on their members, especially when it boils down to how they view someone leaving the organization? Did I read that right? So that was Watchtower yesterday. So, but if they want their publications to be removed, how can you expect to understand the influence and impact it does on the members, especially when it boils down to how they view leaving the organization? That's why the court's looking at this. So the lawyer cited that breaking contact with former members, even close families, is encouraged, ceasing only when the former members repent. And she referred to previously publications on this as well. In the courtroom, the organization's video found on their site, Loyalty to Uphold Jehovah's Judgment, was viewed. And we're going to take a look at that.
It feels so good to be with my family and friends. When I'm with the brothers and sisters in our congregation, it's the best place I could be. My children and I are so happy now. But it hasn't always been this way. My parents were missionaries when my mom got pregnant with me. Mom and Dad were very zealous, and people just assumed that I would follow in their footsteps. And for a while I did. I was the model child who was always held up as an example. Sure, the attention boosted my self-confidence, but it also put me under enormous pressure. It was like everyone was watching me, and I couldn't make a mistake. In my mid-teens, I began to feel torn. I liked the truth, but I felt so confined. I didn't tell anyone how I felt. I just pretended everything was all right and went through the motions. I envied kids who didn't have to live under so many restrictions. And if they got the truth later in life, they got to experience the best of both worlds. I thought maybe things would improve after I graduated high school. But then at my new job, I met Eric. He truly understood me. He made me feel special. And I loved him. I loved him. In many ways, I felt free. For the first time in my life, I could just do what I wanted. It wasn't long before our relationship became intimate. I felt guilt at first, but after a while, it just seemed that this is what two people who love each other do. And I was willing to give up everything for him. Everything. Looking back, my parents tried hard to do the right thing. To do things Jehovah's way. But because I didn't have a hatred for what's bad, I couldn't see anything wrong with my choices. This eventually led me to do things I later regretted. I ended up getting disfellowshipped.
Sonia Erickson has been disfellowshipped.
It crushed my whole family.
Okay, to continue the meeting, we may remember last month's service.
Later, my father explained to me that I couldn't remain in the home because I refused to change my lifestyle. He told me I was having a negative effect on my younger brother and sister. Then I'm out of this house. I was determined to do what I wanted. When I left home that day, all I could think about was Eric. I didn't even care that my parents' hearts were breaking. I didn't think about the devastation and disappointment that I had caused them. I blamed my parents for my situation. I even blamed Jehovah. My family missed me so much, even after all I had done. What helped them to remain loyal to Jehovah for the many years I was disfellowshipped? It was the Bible account of Aaron. Jehovah directly judged 2 of Aaron's sons and put them to death. In this case, Jehovah asked Aaron and his family not to mourn, in order to show the entire nation that they supported Jehovah's judgment. Mom and Dad saw that they needed to be loyal, just like Aaron. They loved me and wanted me to come back to Jehovah. I tried to contact them. I just wanted to talk and to hear their voice. I missed being with my family, and they thought about reaching out to me. But they knew that if they had associated with me, even a little, just to check on me, that small dose of association might have satisfied me. It could have made me think that there was no need to return to Jehovah. I was disfellowshipped for more than 15 years. I had 2 children now, and as time went by, I thought about their future. I thought more and more about returning to Jehovah and the congregation, but I didn't feel worthy.
Psalm 86.
One day, 2 elders stopped by and kindly reminded me that Jehovah wants me to return to him. They showed me Psalm 86, verse 5, where it says that Jehovah is ready to forgive. I thought about that verse the rest of the day. Jehovah is ready to forgive. So I decided to go to the Kingdom Hall for the first time in many years.
Feeling of remorse is healthy. It can move us to take positive steps to correct our mistakes.
It made me realize just how far off track I had gotten. I was determined to qualify for reinstatement. Nearly a year later, my reinstatement was announced to the congregation.
Sonia Erickson is reinstated as one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
I was so happy. The brothers and sisters welcomed me very warmly. Being back together again with my family and Jehovah made me feel so good. I knew this is where I needed to be, and I didn't ever want to leave again. But when I'm alone, I struggle with whether Jehovah has really forgiven me. One time I was so distraught that I called my father for help. He comforted me with the words of Isaiah 1, verse 18, where Jehovah says that our sins, which are like scarlet or crimson cloth, can become white like snow. Then my father related the Bible account of Manasseh. Manasseh did on a grand scale what was bad in Jehovah's eyes to offend him. He even sacrificed his sons in false worship. Eventually, Manasseh genuinely repented, and Jehovah forgave him. This Bible account touched me deeply. Now, I have to be willing to forgive myself. If Jehovah was willing to forgive the sins of Manasseh, as bad as they were, surely he has forgiven me. What a blessing to understand that Jehovah forgives in a large way. And now, I'm truly happy.
Wow, could you imagine the Watchtower's lawyers in the courtroom after that video being shown? That video explains the whole process of disfellowshipping, and it even showed the girls how young they were getting baptized. So it really countered their whole argument. So let's go back to this. Watchtower argued yesterday that there's no violation of right to leave the organization freely. But if the organization wants their interpretations of publications to be removed, how can you expect to understand the influence and impact it does on their members, especially when it boils down to how they view someone leaving the organization? So the JW Org, their lawyers, the Watchtower lawyers, did not want the literature being viewed, any of their publication. The court said, no, well, look at it. So imagine this being shown. Now, the next part is baptism. Baptism, that was the other thing, baptizing children. Well, that video showed a young child being baptized, that one we just watched. So there's photos here, multiple children in this photo of children being baptized. Now, the Averick, the lady lawyer for Norway, goes into the age of those getting baptized, where the organization has proudly produced videos and publications on their acceptance and positive lure for young ones to get baptized. And I know for my own self, there was a huge push. Why aren't your kids baptized? Elders start pushing you. So children as young as 6 years old have been baptized into the organization. And this is not similar to a baptism in Catholicism, where you still have free will and an independent thinking. Once you commit what they deem as sin, you are expelled and shunned from the organization. You see, that does not happen in Catholicism or any other religion, only Jehovah's Witnesses. The organization was challenged on its claim that minors are baptized at a certain maturity level, as they presented evidence of younger baptisms. Due to this, it puts weight on the organization's claim that children have free will decision to get baptized. See, once you start baptizing children that are not of age, that are not at least 16, it's manipulation. It's a lure. So that's what's coming out in court. In the courtroom, this video of Caleb and Sophie, the steps to baptism, was played. So this is the next video we're going to look at before we go any further.
Wow, that looks like me. I have a question.
What is it, my dear?
How do you get baptized?
That's a good question.
And an important one.
Mom looks so young in this picture.
Hey!
Yes, you can be young, like your mother. What matters is that you love Jehovah and want to follow Jesus' teachings closely.
You can show that you want to get baptized by what you do, like obeying your parents.
Learn about Jehovah by reading the Bible. That will help you obey Jehovah and avoid things that Jehovah hates.
Then you'll want to share your faith with others.
Especially in the ministry.
And at the meetings. Make friends with others who love Jehovah.
And most importantly, tell Jehovah in prayer that you want to serve him forever.
That's why we get baptized in public. It shows others that we've dedicated our lives to Jehovah.
That's so cool.
Would you like to get baptized one day?
Why don't you learn a little more about the steps for baptism and share it with us at Family Worship?
Okay.
So, when it comes to baptism and young people, well, this little cartoon kind of spells it out. Even at the beginning, it showed how it referenced Sophie's mother. Well, look at how young your mom was when she got baptized. That's what they push, youngness, right? That's what the video's promoting. These little kids to start thinking about baptism, when really they should be thinking about playing and learning other things about life. But this is all coming out in court. This is excellent. What did this do? Well, there's a picture there, a photo of the lawyer, and them right there. So it says, a source who was attending the trial today said that this was a great start for the defense, and the Arvik's evidence and statements seem to have stressed and angered the Watchtower's lawyer. So, this would get their lawyer going. It goes on to say, spiritual manipulation. Spiritual abuse is a form of psychological manipulation that involves using religious beliefs or teachings to harm someone. And it can occur when a person uses their religious authority or biblical doctrine to control someone. Some patterns of behavior that are common in religious abuse formats include guilt, shame, and manipulation. And I think the court today, the defense for Norway, has really shown the guilt and the shame affiliated with disfellowshipping and shunning. In fact, Jehovah's Witnesses have really done a fabulous job for the court in building these videos and really showing what they want their believers to believe. And these videos go right down to the minutest details of how people would feel and the manipulation involved and how the parents are going to be hurt if you leave the religion and you're an outcast, you can't talk to anybody. And the only way of talking to anybody is going back to the religion. And this is where, in my opinion, JW.org is going to fail in every court. So that's kind of what I have to say on it. And let's go to the top of the article. Okay, so I just wanted to cover this off, the children's rights. Norway's constitution and laws protect religious freedom, prohibiting religious discrimination and protecting the right to choose, practice, or change one's faith. The Jehovah's Witnesses organization started getting state support in 1985, and the process of deregistering started in 2018. They are the first religious denomination to lose its status, for now almost a full year of being deregistered. The state claims that Jehovah's Witnesses prevent free expression, exploiting the theocratic warfare they have designed of the strict practices they teach among their members, mostly involving the detrimental impact on children's rights in the group. Along with the trial, the organization is trying to be compensated 50 million Norwegian kroner, almost 5 million USD. This is a serious matter, not only for Jehovah's Witness organization and former Jehovah's Witnesses, but also for Norway. The new Religious Communities Act, which came in 2021, will be in effect for the first time. This article will be updated as the trial continues from January 8th to the 19th, as the first and second days are introductions for both parties to express their views on the case. Below the article is a link to the trial dates regarding the Jehovah's Witnesses. I'd like to thank Jan Nilsson for his hard work and updates, and the advocate Larchwood for translating and breaking down the understanding of Day 1 throughout the article in the summary of Day Risdell versus Nilsson's published article, The Freedom to Leave the Congregation in bold. So there again we have the Watchtower's lawyer. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, it doesn't look like this guy's too happy. Now, I wanted to point out that also former Jehovah's Witness advocate and politician Jan Nilsson appeared at the trial, as there will be 7 other former Jehovah's Witnesses to listen to the argument and give their testimonies throughout the 2 weeks. This is a long waiting trial to see how Norway will take the price the children and former Jehovah's Witnesses have paid for being baptized at a young age in the hands of the organization. Okay, well, that's all we're going to cover today, folks. That's Day 1 and 2, a little bit of a summary. So, I hope this put a smile on your face. It did mine. Okay, until next time, keep living your day with love. Bye for now. Thanks again for watching. We appreciate your comments, your dislikes, and your likes. If you would like to support the channel, just press join and buy us a coffee once a month. Until next time, keep dancing, smiling, laughing, and most of all, keep loving those around you. And have a great day.
Produced by Fixing My Faith.